All right, we are recording live. Master Your Business Group Coaching. Only Taylor here right now. It is the 14th, Sunday, 4 o'clock. Time has changed. Hey, these next 3-4 sessions, I don't even know, maybe more than that is, we're just going to keep going over it. Is everything sales. And man, I know I started back in 88, 89 when I got into business, reading and listening to everything I could on sales, going to any training classes that I could get to, all of it. And it never stops. And then I used to hate the whole, even the word sales, or you're a salesman, or you're this, and it comes from, like the insurance salesman, the used car salesman. It has like a negative connotation, but at all times you are selling something. I mean, from the time you meet your girlfriend in high school or college or at the bar, wherever the heck, is you're trying to sell her on, you're the best, the best choice, or she's trying to sell you and she's the best choice. And I mean, it goes from there. I mean, it's I fight with my kids, not fight with them, but just like, as much as I want to be a huge positive influence in my kids' life, I know that the people that they surround themselves with will have more of an influence than I do. So I'm constantly trying to sell them that my ideas and philosophies of life are the better choice than what their friends and peers are trying to sell them. But everybody's always trying to sell something, whether it's your religion or your next opportunity or something. So you've got to learn the whole sales process, and it's a little tricky. It's a little, seems like it's manipulative sometimes, but it's if you're going to be in business, you definitely need it. But even if you're not going to run your own business, you need to read these books and listen to these audios and go to these training seminars for no other reason. It's when you're out in the world and you see different advertisement and different people talking to you and different the switch. I mean, some sales guy talk to you and he sees that it's not going anywhere because he hasn't made that connection. Is without you even knowing it. He's like, "Hey Jim, did you know that Taylor, blah, blah, blah," and he's already brought this other guy in who he thinks is going to have a better relationship with you. Man, that happens all the time at like car dealerships, insurance companies, real estate agents, all, any of them that practice true salesmanships and the art of selling will do that. There's always someone on backup, when they, and the good sales guy, man, he's not going to throw in the towel until you're walking out the door almost, and then the management's going to beat his ass for waiting to that point because they know at that point it's almost too late. But so these next 3 or 4 Sundays is going to be pretty much all sales. And I want to start it from like the 80s and early 90s and work it all the way up and to what we do now. I don't want to start to where we're at because I beat that up. But, when we, 2 or 3 Sundays into this, these videos and the way I say your website should be built will make a little bit more sense. But to start off, one, everything is sales, but everything is relationships. It's all going to come down to relationships. And JB's here, but we were talking, I think yesterday, he may be moving into some commercial painting contracts, and just by chance almost, talking to neighbors and them, being in the real estate area and buying, commercial condominiums, and then you got commercial buildings. But I get contractors all the time, probably 2 or 3 a month, call me up asking, "Hey, how do I get into commercial real estate?" And my first thing is, one, make sure you want to be. I did it for years, and it's not good or bad. It's just a whole different ball game. But it never changes. You got to start networking. You got to start building these relationships, giving out the content, meeting these guys. Most of them already have their roofer, their floor guy, their framer, their drywall guy. They got their painter that they kind of been using. And if they don't, that's a red flag. It's like, shit, man, you've been doing this how long? And how come you don't have these other subcontractors? Are you a jerk? What's going on? So you got to look at all that, but you got to start by building those relationships. I like to say, and I've said it over 1,000 times, but it's You have something in common with everyone that you meet, and it's up to you to find out what that is. You have something in common with everyone that you meet, and it's up to you to find out what that is. And I mean that in just in general, just as a person, trying to be a better human being and see how, how you can help other people, with your time here on earth. But it's definitely important when you're talking about making the sale, being chosen for the contract to get the project. Human nature, we do business with people that we know, like, and trust, especially in the construction trade. I keep telling you guys this is, and we know, like, and trust people who are just like us, but it's so more important in construction because, especially residential, these guys are bringing us into their home. I mean, and that's so personal. My wife doesn't even like letting people come over to bid the job. It's like, man, I don't want any of these crackheads coming over to the house. They're not bidding the jobs. They're scoping the place out. And I'm like, shit, man, stop being so damn cynical. Not all construction dudes are on crack or crank. But it's like, she's like, I don't know. You better be here. You better be here when they come over. And it's, and we've, all of the, construction trades over the years have gotten a bad rap. That whole freaking, we're just as bad as the used car salesman and insurance salesman, now, to where, it's because of our follow-up, our follow-through, over promising, under delivering, not showing up, not answering the phone, not standing behind the work that we do. And honestly, man, I don't want to beat up contractors, but it's over 50%. It's mind-boggling how many guys won't even return a phone call, and then when they screw something up, won't stand behind it, won't fix it, look for ways out of it. So homeowners, almost have the right to look at us like that. But so when you get the lead, when you get the new person, when you're talking to people, even in being at Lowe's or Home Depot or parties or, wherever it is, if you always lead first with service in mind, not profit, not business, not any of that stuff. Again, it's you have something in common with everyone you meet, find out what it is, but always leading with how can I serve this person? How can I serve this person? Is almost to where no matter what trade you're in, is are you the right fit for that person? You're constantly asking yourself that, and all of that is the sales, because you're always going to be building that relationship. And I wrote down first impressions, and depending on what book you read, what seminar you go to, what book you're listening to, I mean, you hear over and over again, you never get a second chance for a first impression, and it's kind of true. And I don't want to get into it right now on this Sunday, but that's the whole purpose behind the YouTube channel, the Facebook, the website, all the videos, and you standing next to your clients with the testimonials, all of that stuff, because that really is their first impression of you. When they're reading your Google ads, however they found you, when they heard someone talking about you, it's that first impression. But then, I'm going to back it up to like the 80s, to where we didn't have any of that. If you worked all day long, maybe you were able to leave early, get home. I mean, shit, getting home early or getting back to the office early was, 4 o'clock. If you got back before 6, it was freaking early, but we had the freaking cassette tape recorders, and hopefully someone had went through the freaking phone book or looked at and got one of your mailers or whatever, however you were trying to get your word out, your name out, the business card, someone referred you, and you're listening to that recorder. And so it started even with that freaking recording that, hey, welcome to Adams Hardwood Flooring. We're out serving someone else, leave your number, we'll get back to you. So to where, we used to be able to call in, punch in that code, and you'd be able to listen to the recording, from wherever you are at, pay phone or the homeowner's phone. And then you want to get back to them as soon as possible. So when they've reached out to you, they're ready, they're looking for something. So the sooner you can get back to them, the better it's going to make you look. That's that first impression. The way you answer the phone, the first couple of sentences, and letting them talk is the first impression. Uh, I've got a list of books I want to kind of go over. Maybe I'll put them in the group. I'll type them out. But one is How to Win Friends and Influence people, Dale Carnegie. And for years, I put off even buying that book because I was like, man, who in the hell needs to know how to win friends? What the heck is that? What can that book possibly be about? But it really was. I mean, the whole thing is when you're meeting other people, you're asking questions about them and letting them talk. The more you can let them talk, you spend 20 minutes talking to someone new, a networking event, chamber of commerce, wherever, a party, wherever it is. Out of that 20 minutes, you talk 5 minutes, you let them talk the other 15 minutes, telling you all about whatever the hell it is, their kids, their business, their vacation, their dreams, what they're working on right now. You've spoke for 5 minutes, they leave telling all their friends, they're like, man, that's one of the best conversations I've had in a long time. That dude is, man, he's incredible. Because they want to talk about themselves and it ain't bragging. They just want to share it. Because most of the time, everybody's talking. My friend and mentor, Jim Rohn, used to say, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth, because he wants you to listen twice as much as talk. And it's true. And I think when we sum all of these, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm gonna have a guest to wrap up these sessions, Bob Donnell, and he does a whole program on connectology, how to connect with people. And I honestly think he's probably one of the best at connecting with people than I know. The questions that he asks, it's not, hey, what do you do? It's just, he makes the conversation. He pulls stuff out of people so that they're, it's like they enjoy talking to him and sharing stuff, their vacations, what they have coming up, what they're doing. So you get a recording, you call these people up, you listen to the recording, hopefully the message that they heard when they called in, this is old school, you would have left, please give us as much detail on the service that you need us to help you provide. So hopefully they've left something, I got a new roof that's, old roof is 40 years old. We need a new roof or something. They left something. Think about remodeling the kitchen. We need new floors just bought a house, need someone to look at, whatever. So hopefully when you call back, you have some type of information. Today's world with the internet, there's almost no reason not to have all of that. But so your first contact with these people is or introducing yourself. And again, when you're on the phone, it's posture. I mean, if I'm doing a seminar, I'll have everyone stand up and like the movie or the game charades. It's like, describe to me with no words, just your body language. If you're depressed, let me know that you're depressed. What would you do? How would you? And every one of them, it's all, they're all slumped over, heads down, shoulders are rolled in, chest is compressed, they're not taking deep breaths. All of the, it's the Charlie Brown syndrome. And there's, and that's what it is. And when you're on the phone and you're like this, you could be as happy as all could be. You just signed a $10,000 contract, 60% profit. But when you're sitting like this, you're restraining your breathing, you're looking down, it's going to come across. They're not looking at you, but it's going to come across. You have to do that whole shoulders back, chest is exposed, deep breaths through your nose, always looking up. Even when you're on the phone, stand up, kind of walk and pace back and forth. I got my big director chair over there. I didn't want to do any of these trainings sitting down, and I working on a whole bunch of different stuff. But for that same reason, the energy and the pacing and coming back and forth, the eyes, they're going to hear it in your voice. But as soon as you say hello, introduce yourself as with the energy, and it's like your next words are, tell us how we can serve you. Then you shut up. And you let them talk. And they're going to say some stuff, and they're going to talk. And you're going to want to interrupt and say, oh, yeah. Don't. Let them keep going. Let them keep talking until they shut up. And always, when you're on the phone, you got to have this dude. You got to have these dudes. I mean, it's rare that I answer or I'm on the phone that I don't have this. Even when I'm talking to just friends, I'm taking notes because I'm letting them talk. I'm letting them talk, and I'm writing stuff down as they're talking. I'm listening. I'm writing stuff down, and I'm not trying to interrupt them. I'm just letting them go at it. I mean, they're on the road. Boom, 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 boom. And when they go to take a breath, or when they kind of get, now it's my turn. Now I'm able to go back with the homeowner, and I've written down 3 to 4 important things through that little rant that they just had. I'm able to go back, and now, and if I don't have my notes, they're going to rant. They're going to, they're going to rant off 3, 4, 5 things that are important to them, and I'm going to think I'm going to remember them, and I'm only going to remember 1, maybe 2, and they've said 4 or 5 of them, or 3. So I want to be able to go back over those 4 or 5 things, and then I'll go, old floor, paint color, whatever, paint peeling off the roof, whatever it is. I'll say, and I'll ask them, hey, well, you mentioned boom, boom, boom. That sounds pretty important, and I know it would be important to me and also to my wife. But tell me more about that. And now I've got 3 or 4 things that I know are important to the homeowner, and I'm letting them tell me all about it, because the more information they give me, the easier it's making my job. And before we get into that, and we're talking. So and they're doing all that. So when I went through these 3 or 4 things, and I've let them talk about it, before I go back and talk about, oh, well, here's how we go in, we do this, we do that, we do this. Everything, we started this off, everything is relationships. You do business with people you know, like, and trust, all of that stuff. In the big scheme of things, man, you take the bullseye on a dartboard, and that bullseye is your parents, your immediate family, your brother, your sister, and then a little bit outside the bullseye is your cousins and your really close friends. And sometimes your really close friends are even closer to the center of the bullseye than your brothers and sisters. That being said, meaning if you need a roof, or you need something painted, you need your car worked on, dentist, whatever it is, if you got a great relationship with your brothers and sisters, and I say a good relationship is, even if it's a bad relationship, you're going to use their services first and foremost. I mean, unless there's something extremely wrong with it. So you start with that bullseye and you work your way out. And that's just all of us as humans. It's like, I need my car painted, I need my car worked on. It's like, if I have a friend that I know does great work, I'm calling them up. And unless they can't do it, they're going to refer me to someone. So when you've expanded that circle to where you've asked everyone in your circle, hey, who do we know that paints? Who do we know that does floors? Who do we know that works on cars? Who do we know that does, it's boom, boom, boom. Once you've got all the no's, or we don't know anyone, or blah, 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 or, through those conversations, someone's going to say, well, so-and-so had his roof done last week or last year or whatever. Let's call them up, blah, blah, blah. So it's the referrals. And then it's now it's almost straight to Google before you even call them. My wife is searching Google, and then she'll call people. But it's that relationship. So before I get into these 3, 4, 5 points where they've told me everything that's wrong with their house that they need fixed and stuff, I'm going to say, how long you've been living there? What's the address? Boom, boom, boom. And if I know the area and I work that area, I live that area, I pretty much know the address. I'm like, oh, what's the cross streets over there? Boom, boom, boom. Chapman and Tustin. Oh my God, Chapman and Tustin. Man, I know that area. Shit, that's where my daughter, man, she just opened her new music school. Like she's going on her 2nd year right now. Right there, there's that Arthur's restaurant. Oh my God, we eat at Arthur's restaurant all the time. Oh man, we're always in there. Boo, boo, boo. And it's like, yeah. Oh, your daughter she has a music school there. Boo, boo, boo. Yeah, all that. So now we're talking as friends, and it's the same area. I've been there, all of that. And again, what did we say earlier? It's because you have something in common with everyone you know. It's up to you to find out what it is. So that would be the conversation going into it. Just because back in the day, we wanted them to, it was to make a relationship just so they would invite you over to do the bid. It's like now I'm asking people to freaking charge for bids and charge for consultations. Back in the day, you were almost willing to pay them to let them, come over. Because I swear to God, whether it's true or not, 90% of contractors believe that, oh, if I can just get in front of the homeowner, if I can get to the house, I sell 80, 90% of the jobs. I just got to be able to get there and talk to them. And I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, because shit, I used to say the same damn thing. So maybe it is true, but that's what we think. But that's what it was. We'd be on the phone, you get these numbers, you call them up. I'm trying to make a relationship with them. I'm trying to find out who they are, how many kids they got, boom, boom, boom. Did your kids go to school in that area? Oh, isn't that boom? Hey, that church is over there, boom, boom, yeah. You guys fellowship there? No, we fellowship over here. Oh, okay. Hey, isn't that Chuck Smith? Oh, yeah. Chuck Smith, Calvary Chapel, boom, boom. Yeah, my brother-in-law, his family grew up in there and helped Chuck Smith, something. It's always something. That was just to get the freaking invitation to waste your time and go bid the job. Now, as you're parking out front of their house, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the neighbors when I pull up, who's got flags, what kind of flags, Trump flags, whatever it is. I'm looking at bumper stickers on their cars. They got my kid was an honor roll here, there, whatever. My kid can beat up your honor roll student, boom, boom, boom. All of that shit, man. I'm looking at the outside of the house, how it was painted. I'm really looking to see if they just had a front porch built or something done. And you can kind of tell when something is new. Maybe they just got some new bricks laid, or the front was painted, or the new windows put in, or so that's the conversation we're starting off with. Boom, boom, boom. Hopefully it was a great experience. Oh my God, yeah. Boom, boom, boom. We're talking about that as I'm walking into the house, and again, I mean, I'd say I shouldn't have to or didn't want to, but the way you show up looking. One, you got to show up at least 5 to 10 minutes early. Never ever freaking late. I would get. Especially in California, a 15-minute drive can be an hour and a half, depending on if there's a cup freaking on the street or in the freeway, traffic just backs up. So I always left early. I'd be freaking 30, 45 minutes early. I'd be down the street having a cup of coffee, listening to one of my audiobooks, getting my paperwork all ready, something. So I'm pulling up, I'm 5 minutes early, walking up the sidewalk. And today, I'm telling you, with today's technology, we didn't have that shit. The text messages on my way, this, that, which is just, we'll get into that in these next few weeks. But it's all of that stuff. You're walking up, I'm looking at all of that stuff. Again, I'm looking at all of it because I know the quicker and I can build the relationship and the tighter the bond I can make with these people. I want them to believe I'm in their circle. With conversations, 6 degrees of separation is we know somebody who knows somebody who does something. So all of that, I'm looking for that. They had work done on the house, yada yada. If they got any pets, cats usually run away, but if they got dogs, they open up the door, they say hello. The dog is usually right there, and I'm like, hold on, and I'm down on my knees, and me and the dog are kissing, and I'm like, because dogs, no matter who shows up, the dog thinks they came to see them, and they got to get their attention first. And something about, if you got a good relationship with the dog, you're in like Flynn. But all of that stuff. And again, it almost comes across manipulative or something. And maybe for some people it is, but for me, it never has been. The way I grew up, where I came from, I'm genuinely interested in everybody's story. Where they came from, what their religion is, who they are, what they've been through, all of it. And I don't judge them for any of it. People fascinate me. So you made friends with the pets. As I'm walking in and they're introducing themselves, we're talking. We've already known a little bit about each other because we talked on the phone and got a pretty good relationship, right then and there. But as I'm going in, I'm looking at pictures on the walls. I'm looking for trophies anywhere, piano in the corner, a guitar hanging somewhere, anything, baseball trophy. If it's a karate trophy, I'm in like Flynn. If they got any instruments anywhere, I'm in like Flynn. And it is just, and then that becomes the conversation. Again, the project and the price is always last. It's almost, as I'm leaving, it's like, oh shit. I came over here to measure everything up and give you a price. What the heck? And we already talked about when we're going to start. You don't even know how much I'm going to charge you. And I swear to God, I've done that. And it's almost funny. But that's sales. That's it. And take it for what it's worth. And that's what we're going to be talking about these next couple of weeks. Those conversations, those trigger words. again, we talked last week, we touched on it a little bit. 80% of all decisions we make as humans are emotionally based. When I'm in a seminar, I'll have 5 or 6 people stand up and tell me, hey, what's the last 3 things you purchased? You know, maybe 5 things. And they all say, you know, something, a pen, oh, this cup, this thing, this cup, you know, it's like, and it's like, all right, how many of you needed what you purchased? And they all try to make up excuses of why they needed the new iPhone. I'm like, dude, you did not need a $1,200 freaking iPhone. The $1,000 iPhone you had was fine. Oh, but it had all these up. You don't use the freaking technology you have in this thing now. Is whatever it is. So it's that emotional thing that we're going to talk about. Our videos help us do that. I used to show up, you know, back in the day, old school, you know, I'd have all the old photos flip through of something that resembled their house so they could see it. And they'd be flipping through all the before and after pictures. Now it's freaking videos as I'm measuring up and we're talking. But none of that happened until after we made the relationship. And it's emotionally based, and it's really just trying to find out who they are. And again, I bought the domain name client first contractor. I still may do something with it, but it really is, you know, putting them first. And I just listened to something. Oh yeah, Dean Sharp last week. It was just one of his little 5-minute segments. He was a guest on another show, but it was how he meets every expectation of the client. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta listen to this. And it's because he doesn't let them have these huge, crazy expectations. He brings it in and he tells them all the negative stuff. And I'm like, damn, I'm glad to hear you say that, Dean, because, you know, I've done that forever. It's you know, you get the job, you walk them through this stuff. It's all about educating them. And you're telling them stuff that most contractors are not going to tell them because they're afraid they're going to lose the project. They're not going to get the bid. To where in reality, when you're warning them of this, you go, yeah, we can do whatever you want. It's, you know, you live here. If you were selling it, I'd have different advice. And we'd be talking to your real estate agent because they know what goes on in the neighborhood, and it would be about getting the most money for this property. But you're not selling it. Are you not? You selling it? No, I'm not. Yeah, you're not selling it. So you're gonna be living here for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Your grandkids are gonna be coming here, so you get to do whatever. If you want to paint rainbows on the wall, we can paint rainbows on the wall. But all I can do is tell you and share with you what I've done over the last 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, whatever it is. And then you walk them through the process and you tell them shit that they probably not going to understand, but you're giving them the information that other contractors aren't going to give them. And you say, hey, you do it this, all of that stuff. We'll get into that later. It's 4:30. I want to try to keep these at 30 minutes, but hey, JB, you're here. Do you have any questions about what I'm talking about right now? Because I know you do a lot of this already, and I think it's in the South, we do it anyway. So coming from North Carolina to California, I'm like we sold the first company in 2001, moved back to Myrtle Beach, and we were there for like 4 years. And our first day at Stater Brothers, my wife said something to the cash register lady, and we were there for about 15 minutes. This cash register lady was telling us her story. And when we finally did leave, my wife was like, well, I know her a lot better than I thought that I've known anybody in California. And she's the cash register at Stater Brothers. So when I came to California, I'm talking to these people just genuinely wanting to know their story. What do you got, JB?
Well, man, I talk to anybody.
Yeah.
For real. I don't know what it is because there's so many, we call them transplants, I guess you could say that.
Yep.
Folks are moving all over the country to here, and you know, it's fun, you know, but I do the same thing, man, that you're talking about, looking at everything and anything in the house, trying to make a connection. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the military side of me that I pull that out. I try and give myself some kind of edge in every conversation.
What, yeah. In the military, did they teach you something like that, or was that just something that you did because you were in that environment?
No, they teach you how to survive, man.
Yeah.
And you got to know how to talk your way out of situations
Yeah.
You got to know how to make connections with people, and
In all parts of the freaking world.
exactly.
Yeah. You know, because my buddy that lives down there near you, shit, he'd be in
Yep.
Ecuador with freaking a suitcase full of $200,000, you know,
That's right.
trying to buy the government and, you know, and other stuff, the shit that goes on. But and that's crazy. Yeah, because I teach the same thing in martial arts. I'm like, dude, I walk in looking for the fucking exit. I walk in looking at kind of look at everybody who's got a Band-Aid. Where's the Band-Aid at? Who's limping a little bit? Who's got, you know, something, anything. I'm looking at freaking everything.
Anything to put you above the situation and get you out of that situation.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what you're doing when you walk into a client's home and you're looking at everything and pictures or where'd this come from, and striking up that conversation and building that relationship with them, because they're going to trust you, and they should trust you. So now that you're educating them and telling them all this other stuff, and I would have it like written down, like old school, man. I'm telling you, all my old school papers, everything that I was saying to them, it was written down. So it's like, they know I'm not making it up. The shit's all written down. Now it's on the freaking websites. We didn't have websites back then, you know, but they're reading through all this literature, and if they did get a second or third bid, they come in, they measure up, and you know, this much to prime, which if you're going to do 2 colors, it'll be this much. If you're just going to do 1 base color, and that's it. And they're like, well, what about all this other information? And shit, I don't know, maybe the contractors do know it or don't know it, or feel like, you know, whatever it is, but man, that takes you from a 2 to a 10 almost instantly. But when you've built that relationship with them on the phone and you got there, they've pretty much already signed you up even before you showed up. If they're after they've talked to you on the phone, the way that we just talked about is in their mind, they're like, well, if he shows up on time and he's just half of the person he was on the phone, you know, he's getting the job. It's kind of like if you freaking you're selling a car, you're getting, or anything, you're trying to get rid of a couch or refrigerator or something. You put it on Craigslist, or back in the day it was Penny Saver. After about 5 or 6 people showing up and you're sitting there talking to them, it's like, man, the next dude who shows up, he can have it for free. I'm tired of dealing with people. And homeowners are like, they don't want freaking 5, 6, 7 different freaking bids. They get 3 bids, or sometimes, you know, 4, because that's what they've been told that they're supposed to do. It was like, get 3 bids, 4 bids, you know, it's like, if they see you and like you, and the price in their head, it's either a price that they can afford and sounds fair, or it isn't. And if the price kind of shocks them, you know, then they're like, no matter how much they love you, they're like, oh, okay, let me talk to my husband. Let me do this. Like, but then they get 2 more bids and they're the same freaking price or a little bit lower. They're like, well, shit, I ain't gonna say $500. I'd rather go with JB. I'd rather go with Brian. Okay, hey, I didn't know it was going to be this much. And again, that's some of the conversation that you have before you even leave. Even back in the day, we would do that on that first phone call conversation. You know, we talked price right off the bat. It was, hey, normally it's this much, boom, boom, boom. Is that what you thought? Blah, blah, blah. You can get these kind of prices, but here's why those prices really aren't going to work unless you plan on, you know, selling the house and you're going to be, you know, moving out of the state in the next 6 months, and you don't want the real estate agent coming back to you because, you know, whatever. And again, it all goes back to education.
But I will say that, you know, you were talking about Dean Sharp earlier, how he gives worst case scenario. That shows your knowledge base as well, instead of just walking around the home looking and going, ooh, that's not good. You know? Tell them why.
Tell them why. Exactly.
Explain to them. You know, and when you create that relationship, a lot of the times, if your price is a little bit high, they're not going to look somewhere else.
No, they're not.
They've got a good rapport with you just in 15, 20, 30 minutes that you're talking to them. You know, they're going to think twice before they make a second, third call to get another bid.
Yeah. And like I said, unless it's something crazy over the price head, whatever, that they didn't think would be like that. But most of the time they've already know that. And that Dean Sharp, that segment was the radio host that he was, you know, he was a guest for this lady. and he was talking about, you know, the old wood meeting the new wood. And he was like, well, yeah, it's green wood, it's wet wood. And she's like, wet wood? What do you mean wet wood? And he's like, well, it's not wet like that, but, you know, and then he went through the percentage. He goes, you know, any of these houses around here have been built in the 30s or 60s or even 80s now, you know, they've dried out to where they're going to be. And with the humidity in California, they're always going to be at about 11%, but we're bringing in this new wood. It's going to be like 19%. And what wood does when it dries out, it starts shrinking. So you got this perfect drywall seam that's taped and looks beautiful. But as that wood, you know, behind that drywall starts shrinking, the pressure is going to pull right there, and it's going to come apart at that seam. So you're going to start seeing that crack here and there. And she's like, oh my God, the wood's wet. And she must have said, the wood's wet like 8 times. And I'm like, shit, I thought everybody knew the wood was wet. And I've been in construction forever, but like, and again, that's the kind of thing you say that something like that to a homeowner, like, what? The wood's wet? And no one else is going to do that. And then that's when you're talking about that seam in the drywall, or this could happen if you use the wrong spackle, you know, any of that stuff.
That's right.
And most contractors aren't going to do that. And that's why most contractors aren't going to get paid what we're getting paid.
And that's spending that extra 10, 15 minutes with somebody. I hate to say it, but it allows you to charge that extra money.
Yeah.
Because you're letting them know up front that you know what you're talking about, you know, instead of just going in and blowing and going, you know.
Yeah. And really it ain't extra money. It's what you should be getting, because you're giving it to your guys, you're putting it back into your business. And just because some dude is charging $1,000 and we're charging $1,500, it doesn't mean the $1,000 is what it should be. It's like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't feel, you know, he's worth more. He's not paying his guys enough. He's not doing this. Maybe he's skimping out. He's watering down the first 2 coats of primer or whatever, trying to stretch the material. We all know the tricks. But,
so you got to paint straight.
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's like, yeah. And I don't know. It's like some of these guys, man, even I've heard guys charging, I'm high, and I've got guys charging, you know, like some dude will be charging $1,000. I'm at $1,500, and another dude to come in at $2,500 and get the job. And I'm like, God, dog, what happened? It's because it's their perception. If they're like, oh shit, I want the $2,500 job. You know, I like that dude, Brian, and $1,500, you know, he was in the middle, and they're told get three bids, take the middle one. And they go with that, because some, you know, clients, and we'll talk about that, you know, like, my prices are my prices. I don't care what the houses are, what they're driving in the car, any of that stuff. I just want my price because, you know, I know what the profit margins are. But you got some people who do the whole, you know, what's in the car. That's how I base, you know, how I charge and stuff. But it really opened to my eyes about 25 years ago. I was doing work for an interior designer, gave him my price. And I was going to, because usually with decorators, interior designers, and general contractors who would, you know, like, and these are big Beverly Hills homes. This guy used to do, and still does. This guy, like, he did Elton John's house. We did Pink's house. We did a whole bunch of, you know, big time people. And I'm giving him a price that I think is pretty good. And he's not doubling it, but he's freaking like, he's adding 75% onto my price. And I'm like, good God. And it's because he's the guy. And it's like, oh man, so-and-so did my house. And I'm like, shit, I want to be that dude. How do I get there? It's like, to where now it's like, no, man, I was like, I'm this guy. It's like, shit, you're waiting for me? You're going to pay this? And I don't know, I kind of got close to that, but never did. And to me, it was just mental, to where I really didn't, I don't know if I felt right about it. Like you, is like, I don't want to be taking advantage of them. You know, it's like, and I've done a lot of different celebrities and shit. And I ended up trying to be friends with them and stuff. Talking about, everything was online, booked a job, sold a job, everything. We show up to do the work, and it all started out the same way as like you know, I started off with the same questions. You know, where you located, when do you need it? Because if those 2 answers, we can finish the conversation right now. So they tell me where they're at, Toluca Lake, which is, and I thought it was further than it was. So I was like, man, I just don't work that area. And I was like, we've seen your website, we've seen your videos, man, we really want, boom, boom. And then I looked it up, and I was like, that's not as far as I thought. I was like, I don't know, I guess. So we went through the whole rigor. They sent me the pictures, they did all this stuff. And so we show up to do the work. So we, you know, the guys are unloading, doing all this stuff. I'm inside talking, you know, getting the deposits and this stuff. And again, they had a big horn over in the corner. so again, my whole thing is like, oh my God, man, you play the horn. My daughter, teaches music, masters in composition, boom, boom, boom. And I said, he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, we do a little bit more than just play it, and boom, boom, boom. He goes, we got a little band. I said, oh really? He goes, yeah. I said, what's the band? Boom, boom. And he's like, told me the name of the band. It's Carmen. And I'm like, oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. And yeah. And we're from like Ohio or some shit or something. So we're there, we're doing all this stuff. And I get the guys started. I'm gonna go get a McDonald's, get them some Egg McMuffins. It was like a Saturday or something. So I go and I Google Carmen, the band. And I'm like, oh, and my daughter walks around the freaking house all day long singing their songs. And I'm like, what the hell? And I go back and I go, hey man, you know who you are? And he's like, yeah, we kind of get that a lot. And he's got the cups from the Ellen show where they were on Ellen and other stuff. But I mean, they're just cool from Ohio cornfields and stuff. And he goes, man, he goes, somehow we got lucky enough that, we're kind of living the American dream right now. And shit. And then he was the house that they were living in. He was like showing me all these old pictures that this little bar that used to be there, like Sammy Davis Jr. and all these other people used to hang out at whoever owned this house before. I was like, man, that's cool as heck. And shit, I didn't know any of that. Everything was done online before we even, started the job. Hey, before I get out of here, I'm gonna type these in, but I'm gonna read them right here. Just a handful of books that I really think, and I say this, get them all. Get them all. I mean, you're driving around listening to, don't listen to the radio or talk radio. I tell people all the time, give yourself 3 to 5 years to where you cut off all communication with the outside world and you spend 3 to 5 years building nothing but your business. And man, will you see a difference. And so, and that is, it's the sales book, it's the marketing book, it's the management book, it's the leadership's books, it's the how to deal with, because shit, JB, it's like, you got to have these employees. You got to know how to talk to them. Like you talked about, we do some stuff on the whole millennials and the different generations, and you can't talk to them like we were talked to. I don't know what the Army does nowadays when you got new recruits. Well, I don't have a clue.
I did 13 years and I couldn't do 7 more. So.
I don't know what it's like. Shit, man. And my buddy went in way back when, and it was hard for him to get through shit, because he knew they could only do so much. And, he was push up crazy. He was smiling when he wasn't supposed to smile and other shit, but he made it through. But so I'm going to give you these books right here, but, get them all. Some you're going to listen or read a couple of chapters and probably never listen to it again because it's bad. But first and foremost is Ogmendino's book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Man, it's a fun read. You almost wish they would make it a movie. It's back in before Jesus is even born. It starts off in the shepherds and stuff. But the way Ogmendino writes, it's a really cool story. And then is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And both of those people, get all of their stuff. The Psychology of Selling with Brian Tracy, that one you either got to read or listen to probably minimum 3 times, because he gets a little deep into the psychology, and we'll talk about the brain and what triggers emotions in one of these sessions. The Little Red Book of Sales by Jeffrey Gitomer. And if you get that book, I like the book. It's a small book. It's hardback. It's the Little Red Book of Sales. All the books that I do now, even my handouts and stuff, I base it on that book, because every picture or every page of that book looks fun. Looks like it's like, oh shit. Because I used to get these books and it would be a page of small letters, and I'm like, shit, I can't read that. That's going to take me forever because I'm not a great reader. But man, this book is got some cool artwork, some colorful pictures, and it's just a little bit of wording. It's all just good nuggets. A lot of books are the stories, and you need the stories. We're going to talk about stories. We're going to talk about stories, but his is just all meat, man. It's just all meat. It's just fun. Secrets of Closing the Sale, Zig Ziglar. Get all of his stuff. Yep. I tell you, man, all the people I met and worked with, Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar were everything you thought they would be. Some of these guys I met, they weren't.
Zig's a good old Southern boy too.
Yeah, he is. He used to say, I'm from LA, Lower Alabama. Man, but yeah. And then the Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins, probably one of the best sales guys ever. and he was genuinely nice. Triggers by Joe Sugarman. Joe Sugarman, his whole story and stuff. He's a sales guy. I don't like, and I have the book, but that the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not a fan of that guy. I'm just, I bought the book just so I could listen to it and go through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know his name. I've got the book. I wasn't a fan of him at all. But Triggers.
Sideways.
Yeah. And then How to Sell Anything to Anybody, Joe Girard. And he kind of claims himself as the world's greatest salesman because of the amount of cars that he sold each year for so many years. And his stuff, I mean, the book is good, but when you're reading it, he really does sound like he's manipulating people. And I don't know, I mean, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but it's true. If you really believe you're the best roofer, you're the best contractor when it comes to remodeling or building spec homes or doing floors or painting, if you really believe you're the best one in your neighborhood, in your area, you're almost doing a disservice if you don't do everything in your power to get the homeowner to sign up and go with you. Because if you let them go with someone who's not as good as you, then you're not doing what you should do. But reading his book is going to make you second guess everything. Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. Again, Dan Kennedy and Magnetic Marketing by Dan Kennedy. But Dan Kennedy came up in the 70s with anything that got mailed. Everything that's mailed out, and JB, we were talking about mailers. It all came from Dan Kennedy. He's like the guru, the master, everything. That's his thing. How to put the words, how the font, everything, how to word it, everything. And he's taught thousands and thousands of people. Most of the time when I see people now, either on the internet or I see them or books and stuff, I know that they're students of Dan Kennedy. The Sales Bible by that guy, Jeffrey Gitomer. And then this dude, Nick Nanton, and he has a partner. I don't have the partner's name written down, but it's called Story Selling. And it's a good one. Because everything is stories. Everything is stories. And that's why the Southern guys seem to be great salesmen when they go anywhere else in the world, because they've got stories about freaking everything that connects, and stories work. And I'm going to save that for next week. But story selling, there's some information in story selling to where I almost wish I didn't buy and listen to the book. It was almost heartbreaking, but I'll bring that up later too. So, all right, JB, we're gonna get out of here. Anything you want to add? Because I know you've been doing some great stuff, man. I'm telling you, JB, put this on video. These last 6 months, the stuff that you've done has been crazy, amazing. And you and a couple of other guys too. But it's like I don't know. It's like when I met you 2 years ago, it was like you're in a slingshot, pulling back, and something snapped to where now it's like you can't slow him down.
Well, I felt like I was at the bottom 2 years ago, man, and I had nowhere to go but up.
Oh,
and
man.
the amount of work that we put in is ridiculous. You know, I hate to say it, but man, I haven't had family time or done anything in like 3.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Next week will be the first weekend that I'll have off in that time period.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're trying to build my wife's little business, and we're trying to build mine to where it runs on its own and I don't have to be there.
Yeah.
And
that's the whole thing is like, man, you spend these next year, 2 years doing everything that you're doing now, then the business runs itself to where you're there, a couple of hours a day, if that, and then you're freaking, reaping the rewards of all your hard work, and then everybody's talking shit. Must be nice. Kiss my ass. and it's funny you say that. I'm going to say this, and I don't think you'll get pissed, but this time, no, because this is March already, June, February, March. So December of last year, and I mean last year before the freaking pandemic. So it was 2020. But Anthony from Sunshine Design, he was at the bottom to where he was going to get out of construction altogether. I mean, he was done. He was absolutely done, and that was even because he was already done before we started working together. And he put in another 6 months with me and had some highs and lows and highs and lows, and then he was like, "Man, I'm over it. I'm gonna get a job, and it ain't even gonna be in construction." And I said, and I was like, "Well, talk to me, man. What's going on?" And he went through a whole bunch of shit, and I was like, "Well, how much of that is your fault?" And then and he talked some more, and I said, "All right, then let's change it and let's do this." And it was like you right now, to where, man, we changed just a few things and got back to where he originally wanted to be and what he originally wanted to do, but he didn't think he could. He wants to remodel homes all together, these huge projects, and we got him there. And now, shit, the business is pretty much running himself, and he's off and about doing 2 or 3 other things right now. And you brought it up. I know your wife is in Prove It, right? Prove It. Yep. With the ketones. Any of that information, I swear to God, man, I tell these guys, any business owner, join Toastmasters, real inexpensive, but it helps you with your speaking and your listening skills. And join maybe not any, but 80% of any of the network marketing companies, multi-level marketing, pyramid schemes, whatever the hell you want to call them. Join them, because the money that you put into it, I don't care if it's, most of them are $200, but you pay $2,000 and buy into it, whatever. But the trainings that they have online and going to the seminars and all the other stuff and how to meet and connect with people, and you're doing one meeting with one person, and then the next thing you're doing meetings with 3 people, and you're doing that for a while, and now you're doing a meeting with freaking 10 to 15 people, and then 30 people, and now you're talking to 300 people, to where before you were embarrassed to even talk to someone on the phone. But the education that these guys, and I tell people all the time, not only should every business be ran like a network marketing company, every successful business is ran like a network marketing company. What do you mean, Brian? Pyramid scheme, taking advantage of people? I'm like, dude, it's easy to buy into, which means, yeah, it's easy to buy into, which means it's easy to quit and not put the work into it. Subway works because you've taken every penny you have, 75 grand, and put it into this company, and 3 months into it, you're like, fuck, I didn't know it was going to be this much work. And you wish you could quit, but you spent all your savings and you can't. You got to make it work. To where network marketing companies, you put in $300 and it's harder than you thought it was going to be. And you're like, man, I ain't doing that. It sucks. But man, if you just joined for no other reason but the education and how they, talk to people and connect with people. That's what Facebook is letting everybody in the world know that you have a plumbing business, a painting business, or whatever it is. But both of those.
We've got 2 different conferences. Well, I've got 2 and she's got 2 this year. And we're going to be all over the United States networking. And doing that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and that's
fun, man.
Yeah, I like them all. I mean, I like the energy. I like being around those people because they want more. They're not just sitting back complaining the government or the freaking people are coming across the border, taking their jobs or doing they want more out of life. Whether they get it or not, at least they want it. And I just like to be surrounded by people like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Paint Expo, and then I've got the PCA conference, and she's got two Prove It conferences. But
hey,
when I go to the Paint Expo, I'm gonna take some extra money and try and pick some equipment up. And supplies and all that kind of stuff for cheap. So.
Especially if you're there on the last day and they don't want to take shit back with them.
Yep.
That way, and then. And I'll tell you too, is anytime you're going to expos and to events like that, I say go through all the paperwork 2 or 3 times to make sure you're seeing everything, but then you're highlighting and scheduling and looking at everything and planning it out, going with a game plan. Don't just go to show up, but show up with a plan of what you want to do, who you want to talk to, what you want to try to learn, all of that. I'm surprised that so it's in person, it's live and all that shit. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, it's scheduled to be, but Paint Expo I think it's October in Vegas.
Yeah, man, that's gonna be.
And
that should make it. If it was in Florida, I'd say hell yeah. Florida's like, bring it, and Vegas is still a little.
Yeah, I was looking at one in South Florida with who was it? I can't remember who it was, but it was in Naples,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and but it was a big business conference about leadership and all that kind of stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that was September, but
Yeah. And they're all good to go to, because you go,
oh yeah,
no matter what the price is. Some of them you go to and you're like, man, that was a waste. But you come back so freaking energized and so full, because just talking to other people and being around these other guys who are doing stuff is like, they'll say something and something in your head will pop off that
Yep.
doesn't have anything to do with what they're saying, but gives you the idea of like, oh shit, this is what I need to be doing. And that's why, again, man, I walk around with this damn thing, writing shit down, because I don't want to try to remember it. Albert Einstein said, I don't try to remember anything that I can write down. And I was like, that's, if it's good enough for him, good enough for me. Because I can't remember that shit, man. So, all right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Watch the replay, leave some comments. We'll be back here Sunday. We're gonna get into maybe the story selling. I don't know, maybe the emotions of selling. We're gonna continue the conversation. Thanks, JB.
all right, brother.